until it's the point we reach.
Okay.
We can hear you, Gary.
We are currently now live on YouTube.
All right, we'll just wait a couple more minutes until 7 o'clock and then bring the meeting to order.
It's just always a boring time I would wait. It's no different for the council meetings. It's, you used to gab and chat with the people next to you. And now you're sitting there going, well, I don't want to say anything because who knows what will actually come out on the microphones.
Well, Councillor Gerard, we were doing that, but everybody went silent as soon as Karen hit the live button on YouTube. Next time, just show up 15 minutes early.
I got the button to mute everybody too, so just keep that in mind. Don't start singing, Paul. I could mute you.
Well, you're quite the Debbie Downer starting that video.
Exactly. Just, you know what? Give me trouble and I'll put you on mute.
That's my wife's full-time job.
Karen, are we expecting any absences? I know I spoke with Susan earlier today and she did say she was planning to attend, but
nobody's emailed me. So not to my knowledge. And I don't have anybody waiting in attendee. So I think everybody, Donovan, that you needed at this meeting got the invites directly. You're on mute.
all right, we do have, oh, sorry, go ahead, Donovan.
I think we'll be adding some more members from project teams, but yeah, I think Chair, you're correct that it's time to begin.
All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we'll call this meeting to order. Karen, can you please take a roll call?
Commissioner Young. Commissioner Batty.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Keen. Commissioner Brink.
Here.
Chair Langness.
Present. We do have a quorum. For those that are guests tonight, for some point in the meeting on the agenda, we're going to just ask that you keep yourself on mute until that point, and then we'll bring you on live. I do see Susan Young has just joined as well, 7:01. Yep. Karen, we do have a quorum, so we're done with roll call. So we're at the Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask that those that are able to join us in our nation's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Next is approving the agenda. Commissioners, is there a motion? Commissioner Miller?
A motion that we approve the agenda.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Batty?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the agenda? Seeing none. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote on approval of the agenda?
Commissioner Young?
Aye.
Commissioner Batty?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Keen? I think he's still absent. Commissioner Brink?
Aye.
Chair Langness?
Aye. Motion carries. We are on item number 5, approving the Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 28th, 2020. Commissioners, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Brink moves. Is there a second? Commissioner Miller?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the item? Seeing none. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote on approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 28th?
Commissioner Young? Aye. Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Magnus.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries. We are on item number 6, Forest Lake Mini Storage Site Plan Review. This is a Planning Commission final approval. We will have Donovan present the staff report, and then we'll offer an opportunity for the applicant, or I'm sorry, we'll have Donovan present the staff report, and then we'll allow commissioners questions on that, and then we'll allow the applicant to add anything that they wish to have. Commissioners can ask questions, and then we'll bring it back to the Planning Commission to have consideration of a motion and approval. Donovan, do you want to get us kicked off?
Certainly. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, like to present the site plan review for the Forest Lake self-storage site plan expansion. And this is located at 407 15th Street Southwest. We have members of the project team on the meeting with us, including Gary Weckworth, Andrea Hamill-Wallach, who is the applicant, Brian Wessels, and what the project location is over in our industrial area over by the freeway on 15th Street. Forest Lake Mini Storage has been there for maybe decades. I'd be curious if we have some institutional knowledge on how long it's been there. In 2017, they did do a 8,800 square foot expansion here shown, if you can see my cursor. And what's the subject for tonight is to fill in this open space with 4 additional building pads. The site plan that's been submitted has shows these first off just that site showing the existing containers, storage buildings, and the pavement. Currently, there is some row of shrubs, trees along 15th there. We find some wetlands to the south. Essentially, what you saw in the aerial, it's grass. What is proposed are these 4 building pads. They're more toward the front of the site. They meet that front 40-foot setback. There is a 20-foot wetland setback that they're also complying with. Those existing wetlands for which the wetland delineation approval is in process. And what they're proposing is to build 2 the structures A and D immediately, and then follow with B and C later. A and D contain 54 units, and as we learned earlier this summer, there are the use standards for self-storage units, and based on what they've submitted, the site plan does comply with those, because what they're proposing, and I'll show you in a minute, is full landscaping on this 15th Street side to block any view of the doors, which is one of the use standard requirements. The parking, there is adequate parking for this. Use standards do require the extra 1 space, but we found that with the way that self-storage units are currently used, there's ample parking for the users. Of course, there's the requirement of having 1 access point, and that's found here, just a little bit, just directly west of the proposed building site. There are maximum impervious standards, which this site will comply with, for 80% for this D3 limited industrial business district. There's a stormwater filtration basin that's proposed on the south here. That's currently being reviewed by the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District. Actually, at their board meeting tomorrow night, the project is seeking that approval. And I'll show here the plantings that are proposed for these, and this needs to be completely all along the fence to comply with the codes. And I'd like to hear from the project team if there's still full trees kept here. Or is this actually am I looking at an older one? Maybe the crew
Yes.
can
This is
correct me.
This is
Okay.
Brian Russell's. That's a little bit older one.
Okay, I apologize for that. I'm pulling off the Plan Commission packet. Let me jump over to the. Thanks for that correction. Let me jump over to the most recent one. Let me stop screen here for a second. So there's the city engineer has reviewed it, and there's been some back and forth as far as complying with and just meeting concerns regarding the stormwater drainage from the site into the filtration, or emergency overflow, etc. And though the staff memo seen in the packet does indicate a number of concerns, subsequent reviews, submittals have taken care of all those except the things we'll mention around the final watershed permitting, formal wetland delineation review, so I really got to commend the project team for pulling together all these meeting staff concerns, because the project team is eager to get going on the project. They have submitted a building permit application. So I'm pulling up the C4 and the I thought I saw, I guess what I was looking for is I thought I saw, should I go further south, further? Landscaping plan showing complete coverage of that site. Am I still in the wrong plan, project team?
There is.
Oh,
a
that's the
plan.
12th. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If we want to just save on time, we have this entire row of trees. We've continued that solid along there as one of the comments that we received back from the city. So we have infilled that so you can't see the building A or building D.
Thank you. And the structure, there are minimum design standards for these structures, and these structures will be, as far as I can tell, almost identical to the structure that was built on the site in 2017. There are minimal, vertical and design elements, but I think they meet really what the use is, and these codes are meant to be more for structures that have higher public use, and just basically that when there's the full screening that we have on the site, that the level of design that they provide is adequate. No additional exterior lighting or signage is proposed. Chief Newman did review the site plan, and he found that there's adequate fire hydrant across the street to actually meet the meet his concerns for emergency response. And I will also now thank you, Brian, for sending that plan. I do want to just to share with you the plan that I initially thought I was going to see, that shows the that landscaping all along that 15th Street frontage. And so that again meets the landscape plan requirements. And so with that, it is a staff recommendation with 7 conditions. that relate to meeting the landscaping material plan. Subsequent conversations with the project team said that they, that they will make sure that the landscaping material does survive. And given the long-term project time with two immediate building constructions and two later, the fact that there will be time to ensure that they, with the letter of credit held, that they that those plans will survive. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from the Planning Commission.
Commissioners, is there any questions on the staff report? And one note, also, it appears that Commissioner Keene did join us at 7:12 p.m. Commissioner Young, go ahead. Commissioner Young, you're on mute, though.
There, okay. On the drawings that were submitted, what are the containers that are shown around the existing buildings? Are those roll-off containers? Are they, what are those, please?
They are your basic storage containers. They've been there for years, as far as I can tell. And they are allowed in the zoning district. So they're part of the site.
So they're like pods.
Well, that would be the more contemporary name for them, but I think they're perhaps the project team can tell me better because
This is Brian.
I can't say.
They are like ocean going shipping containers, so
Okay.
like a pod.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions on the staff report? Seeing none. Thank you, Donovan. And I apologize that I don't have your last names, but Gary, Brian, or Andrea, are one of you presenting, or any additional information you want to tell the commission tonight?
Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm the architect on the project. Donovan summarized the project. It's fairly simple in nature. We've worked back and forth with his team to make sure we met all of their concerns. Sort of the tree landscaping was the last item that we pulled together after seeing what was there for existing trees were not ideal trees. They were sort of junky buckthorn type material for the project. And I don't have anything else to offer.
All right, thank you, Andrea. Brian or Gary, did you have anything additional?
Nope. No.
I believe I heard 2 no's. So commissioners, are there any questions of the applicant? Seeing none, we can move in towards consideration and or a motion. Commissioner Young.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the project with the most recent drawings, including the full coverage of landscaping, subject to the recommendations of staff and the city engineer and the watershed district.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? I'm not seeing any, but I will comment. I think Commissioner Young's motion with the landscaping in addition is a good notation to add. And it looks like a good project. So I'll definitely be supporting it. Any other comments? Seeing none. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keene,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye, motion carries. I wish the project team and good luck and welcome to the expansion of your business in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
And you are welcome to stay. We'll just ask that you turn yourself on mute if you're interested in the rest of our business of the evening. We're moving on to item number 7, Hidden Creek Taylor Farm Concept Subdivision Review. This is a final with the Planning Commission tonight. We will have a staff report by Donovan. Commissioners can then ask questions. We'll then open it up for the applicant or applicants to present anything additional they have, and have commissioners ask questions there as well. And then we can get into more robust conversation amongst commissioners and feedback at that point. Donovan, do you want to get us kicked off here?
Certainly. I'd like to present the concept subdivision review of the Hidden Creek Taylor Farm parcel. Mr. Paul Brueggerman is the applicant here. He's a developer who's worked in the city for a number of years. I know that Summerfields was his project at one time there. I'd like to present the first the location. Just to let you know, this is in the Headwaters PUD, with just west of Fenway and north of the Headwaters Parkway. So there's a 60-acre parcel here that's also just west of the large city-owned pond, and actually it's floodplain as well. And this is the subject property for this site plan. What's been submitted is a 120 unit subdivision that occupies about the 40 acres of high ground on this parcel. And recently a wetland delineation was approved. So there'll be some refinement of the lines, but as you can see, there's wetlands both to the west and the east. This is an MXR1 zoning district with that plan unit, Headwaters plan unit development. What we see here is a connection to the stub end of Enfield Avenue on the north, and a connection to a future extension of Headwaters Parkway on the south. This Headwaters Parkway, Headwaters PUD, does allow, these type of single-family lots down to 65 feet or so. It's this concept stage in which we're providing just simple feedback to the developer, non-binding feedback. This is still somewhat at the higher level, and so we haven't gotten into that minutia of all the lot sizes, but generally they do seem to represent in general what we've seen in Headwaters before, with some of the larger single family, some of the villa type, which would be more like the single level, though it's early to talk about what type of building types these houses would be, but they're all single family dwellings proposed. What you'll see here in the middle is a park dedication area. It's about 4.9 acres. And what's been proposed are trail connections, trail easements to the surrounding roads in the north, south, southeast kind of, and north. And this is something that's, staff feels strongly that there be some park dedication as land within this area to serve this future neighborhood. There was a review from the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission last night, and in which they reviewed the application. And part of the discussion was some staff recommended trails that we saw more directly on the north leading to that Enfield sidewalk, also leading more directly to the south with a connection, more direct connection down to this Headwaters Parkway, And a rationale for this is that there would be to do more of a kind of a connection between existing trails on Headwaters Parkway leading up to the sidewalk, and then a trail that leads up to 202nd Street, and then along that trail, and then leading back to Fenway. And of course, there's a trail on Fenway as well, running north and south. So that was reviewed, and I think the Plan Commission, I'm sorry, the Parks, Trails, and Links Commission provided really good feedback. I wouldn't say there was not a consensus at all that this was what they liked as the park configuration. But you know, so and it's going to be reviewed again at the Parks, Trails, and Links Commission early in at least in mid-December, because part of this process is to get a formal recommendation from that commission to council on the park dedication. But tonight, you know, it's kind of more within the Plan Commission realm to discuss the lot size. As I note in the staff memo, this does, you know, fall within the, you know, permitted density. It's about what I calculate about 3.2 dwelling units per acre. I didn't get the exact acreage on upland, so there's some wiggle room there, but it falls within the comp plan range for the MX for this low medium density land use area. And city utilities are adjacent, both in north and south for that public water and sewer. And the I'd like to, and you know, basically tonight, you know, provide that informal feedback to the developer, and also, you know, kind of give some feedback now that they can use, you know, as they, you know, to prepare a preliminary plat. I will just, you know, in brief mention some of the comments that staff had, that which, you know, relate to the trail easement should be at least 20 feet in width. I am unfortunately having a headset issue, so I'm gonna have to kind of go back to my microphone on my computer, or else you will lose me. But also there is staff desire to see some ghost platting to the south, so that we know where those two roads, that the stub end roads to the south, where they go, and that we'll not, you know, by that connection, you can see there are those two running south, that there's not it's not preventing some other future development that would, or making some issues. And I apologize. So anyways, how about with that, I'll turn it over to the Plan Commission for any questions while I change my microphone here. Sorry about that.
Commissioners, are there questions on the staff report before we open it up for the developer? I'm not seeing any questions, Donovan. Donovan, are you, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Batty.
Donovan, did you give us, I mean, is in a development like this, is there an average lot size requirement? There must be some kind of minimum
Yeah.
lot size, right?
Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me? Sorry,
We can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine? Well, no,
Yeah,
I put my headset back on.
We can hear you fine with the headset, but you got pretty quiet.
Yeah, well, it's telling me I need to recharge it, and come on. So yeah, there's a 7,500 square foot lot size minimum, Dennis. And the if you look, I didn't do the full review, but it looks to me virtually all the lots do comply with that minimum lots area.
Well, there's a few up along the very north edge there that are slightly under that. They're about 71, 70. And I'm not here to pick at that. It looks to me like
yeah.
it'd be very easy to adjust this so that this overall layout here, so that I mean, it wouldn't take much at all.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but no, I need to correct myself. No, I was looking at the wrong line. It is a 7,000 square foot. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So some of those are near there, but they do comply.
Other questions on the staff report? All right. Donovan, if you're trying to figure out how to change your microphone, go down to the lower left corner where the mute button is, hit the arrow next to it, and then at the very top it says select a microphone, and you can change it that way. We'll open it up to the developer or the applicant, landowner. Who do we have on that is presenting?
Hi, I'm Paul Bruggeman. I'm here. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Appreciate your time and your input on this project. We're excited to do it. Just if I could just back up, last night at the Parks Commission's meeting, there was I thought a pretty strong direction that they would like to have more of an inclusive park rather than just land without the equipment developed in the park, and the full park developed to the full extent with playground equipment, trails, whatever amenities that everybody agrees on. And I think we're going to almost have to lay out this whole area, basically the same concept and lots and sizes. But I think, Donovan, correct me, I think they're looking more for a direction of a central little neighborhood park that we're developing a total of 120 acres in this area. This piece, the 40 just south, and then the 40 just to the east of it. And if you go back to the plan, right where the Headwater Parkway Road makes a curve to the south, right in that curve, the suggestion or the recommendation I made to the Planning Commission is maybe put in approximately a 5-acre park with the amenities included in it as part of that development, similar to Summerfields, where the park is the central in a central location that everybody can see and admire and drive by, rather than having the park hidden behind all of the homes. And Donovan, again, correct me, but I thought the Planning Commission expressed some pretty good interest in that type of a layout.
Mr. Bruggeman, I suspect you mean the Parks, Lakes, and Trails Commission last night?
Parks Commission, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, I think, Paul, the conversation definitely, they were curious about that. But I think they also, I think they want to see park area is shown in the concept plan.
Donovan, you're breaking up.
Yeah, Donovan, you're kind of going in and out. The closer your mouth is pointed towards the computer, it seems to be better that way. It's when you're turning your head, it's just cutting off completely.
If I can get my headset recharged. So the, I think there's a lot of questions, and and Jamie, the Parks coordinator, did basically collect a series of discussion points, and I would say that if you were planning all these areas and had control of the property, that'd be a viable option. But when that is.
Donovan, we've lost your mic.
Chair Langus, while he's working on that, I do have a couple of questions for the developer, which would allow Mr. Hart to work on his mic.
Yeah, let's change gears. Go ahead, Commissioner Young.
Okay. Thank you very much for this. I think it's going to be a good addition to Forest Lake. I do have some concerns, especially since the layouts that we have do not have your wetland delineations. I am concerned that some of your lots on the east and on the west that back up to the wetlands are going to be coming to us for variances because of the depth of the lots. So as you find this down and better reflect where exactly the wetlands are in relation to your proposal, I'm hoping that you'll make sure that there is plenty of space so that we are not looking at variances for somebody, for instance, to put a deck out the back that would be too close to the wetland area. What is your proposed phasing on this? I really want to make sure that we are not having for any significant period of time only one way into this development and one way out. I see that you are eventually going to go up to Enfield and get into there, and then you have your entrance off of Headwaters. But I'm really concerned, especially with the two stub outs on the southwest area, that we might end up with too much dead end activity. So if you could let me know, please, what your thoughts are on phasing this project and your access to the project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Our plan is we actually have with a national builder to do two takedowns, half of the lots as soon as they're ready, hopefully this summer, and then the other half the following summer. And then continuing on and moving to the south and developing the southern 40, and then again to the east, to the eastern 40. So I guess we're going to try to move as fast as they can move, but their plan is and their projections are to be able to do around 50 homes a year. And that's what their takedown schedule is with us.
So where are you planning on selling lots first, and which planning on putting in first?
We haven't determined that at this point, but I would assume we're going to come off of Headwaters Parkway and go north approximately halfway through the site.
And then during that first phase, you will link up to Enfield and make that a through so that you have more than one way in and out of your development.
Probably not in the first. Well, are you calling this are you calling this the first phase? Then the answer is yes, but we're going to probably divide this into two build phases, if you will. Does that help answer that question?
What I want to make sure of is that when you start selling lots, you have enough roads put in here so that you have your entrance off of Headwaters, and that you are also have linked up to Enfield on the north so that there's more than one way in and out of this development.
Yeah, I don't know that we've made that decision. Is there a reason for that? I mean, if we had to put a temporary cul-de-sac in, I don't think it would exceed any length of roads if we did that.
What we've seen in a couple of other developments in Forest Lake, as time goes on, it's really difficult to predict the future. And those stubs tend to last for a significant period of time, and access in and out can become a problem. If, for instance, something were to block off the area for instance, if there were emergency vehicles were to block off the road over toward Headwaters, then there's no other access out of that subdivision if you do not have the connection up to Enfield. So that's just a concern that I have for public safety. When you come back with a better delineation, right now you have drafted your access to the central park on the lot lines of different of the various properties between 82 and 83, 89 and 90, 71 and 70. And I want to make sure that as you do further design, that those accesses to that park space are very clearly delineated, that it is not just a park for the people that are backing up to it. Our park plan says that this is a regional facility with access for all residents of Forest Lake. And sometimes when those are just sort of a lot line that is an understood access, that doesn't happen. And so I just want to make sure that as you're doing further work and further developing this concept, that those are very clearly delineated so that we don't have the folks at, for instance, 70 and 71 saying, no, you can't come through here. That's our side yard and you're not allowed to come through, when it is, our park plan does say that that will be a regional facility. And then I agree with Donovan that I really would like to see some sort of, whether you call it ghost platting or whatever, so that we know what those roads are going to link to on the south. Again, I am concerned about making sure that we have plenty of flow through the development for folks to get in and out, and we don't have an entire 120 homes having only 1 or 1.5 accesses in and out of the development. And those would be my comments, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Young, first of all, I believe the regional park is 80 or 120 acres south of this location. The parks did not identify this, as far as I know, as a regional park location. It was more of a neighborhood park. They the plan, and this came up last night, and I think it's at least 80 acres south of this. Donovan, was it 90th that the regional park was set up, and that this was more of a quasi neighborhood park? But we will certainly take a look at that. Again, my feeling as the developer, I would just as soon have the park right on Headwaters Parkway, so that it's an amenity that it is seen and accessible to everybody, rather than doing just what you're, putting it behind all of the homes, and it's not as inviting and open to everybody else. So I guess I'll have to confer with Donovan and verify that, but my understanding is the regional park is yet quite a bit south. And then once this is developed, there will be the access through there. But it's almost impossible not to have some dead ends in the phasing that may need some temporary cul-de-sacs until the next phase comes.
I understand that, but I think that having 120 homes with one entrance in and out is not good for public safety. And I do have to say that I think that your Summerfield Park, that area is very, very successful. And what I'd like to avoid for those of the rest of the Planning Commission who remember some of the parks that we have one east of 61 that's between
the mini storage
facility and the houses, that I would say 99.98% of Forest Lake doesn't realize is a park. Mr. Batty, you may remember that one specifically.
So Commissioner Young, I hear what your concerns are on both of those fronts, and we will try to address that.
Thank you.
Right now, we just don't know our phasing. And quite honestly, this plan, based on what I heard from the Parks Commission last night, is not what they want to see. So I guess most, these are planned to be single family homes on these roughly 65 foot by 125 to 130-ish lots. And that's what we'd plan on going down to the south as well. But yeah, we'll certainly take a look at those items.
Are there other, or Donovan, did you get your mic working? Did you have additional comments to add that you were trying to say earlier?
Yeah, I would, I think it's still a work in progress with the park and the Parks, Trails, Lakes Commission's recommendation. But I will affirm, that what you see tonight for that and the concept plan for the park was not received favorably by the by Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission, and so they'll be revisiting that.
All right, thank you. Are there comments from other commissioners? Or Mr. Brueggemann, did you finish with your presentation? I don't know if we had cut you off earlier or not.
I was just responding to whatever questions that you have.
Sounds good. Commissioners, other questions or comments? Commissioner Batty.
Donovan, where are we at with headwaters here, the extension of headwaters? Is that going to be part of this overall development here? Is the extent, I don't think headwaters goes quite this far yet, does it?
No, and this plan will include a little bit of extension of headwaters to that southern entrance, but shown on the the second page of the submittal of the plan shows that the curving road, which is shown in the original master plan for the PUD. So this it's not really determined exactly how far they'd build out. Build out with this. Generally, we have build out to the kind of the end of the platted area, pretty similar. But right now, Headwaters Parkway pretty much ends at Falk Avenue, right by the lift station there. So that extension, it's several hundred feet, but built to that collector road standard, for that, continuing that ultimate build out to the west.
And then I was trying to make sure I understood Commissioner Young here. Your idea is that you want the connection both to Headwaters and to that, is it Enfield or whatever
Enfield.
whatever that road is to the north there. You want that as part of the first phase of development, right? Going that far with the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially when there's a lot of construction vehicles. We all know how the one in and one out, roads get blocked, things happen, emergency vehicles come in.
But you weren't looking for more than that. You weren't looking for more than those two, were you?
No,
Yeah.
I just need more than one in and the same out.
Yeah.
Other comments from commissioners? I have a couple. I'm going to share my screen because I think it'll be easier to explain. Did I share this properly? Can someone give me a thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay. So my comments are and this was on the staff report. So if the park is placed here, and I did not watch the Parks, Lakes, and Trails Commission meeting last night, so I'm not sure what their comments are, but I know we have a sidewalk on the west side of Enfield here, and it would be very important, I think, to have that align here, whereas the easement is here, and I know staff made comments in that. And then the staff comments are that there needs to be a 20-foot width here on these trail easements that come in. And I think that's important on the ones that are near a proposed park, if assuming a park is placed here, so that staff can get equipment in and out and maintenance and those pieces. But the trail that comes here and then it goes down this side and then here and then connects to Headwaters, I think for continuity of this park being part of our system of parks versus just this neighborhood park, having a trail behind these homes, and I don't know that it would need a 20-foot easement because staff would have access up here, but the minimal necessary to have a trail that goes behind the homes and connects to headwaters with a sign, I think will be more inviting for the wider community using Headwaters Parkway than they would driving up and parking in front of somebody's random house and then using a trail easement. So if we're unable to have dedicated parking or this park immediately adjacent to a road somewhere here where it's obvious that the public doesn't have to park in front of someone's house, I would like to see greater connectivity to the headwaters system. So that's my comment on the park. As far as the road here, I think Commissioner Young makes a good point. And if you go to Enfield all the way to Headwaters, I don't know that you'd even need a cul-de-sac here. You could literally stop the road here and this could just be a turn temporarily, and then phase 2 could be all over here. The other comment is I would like to see the phasing so that phase 2 doesn't eliminate significant access to whatever park is in here. So if phase 1 started off at Headwaters and it only went up to here and you put a cul-de-sac in, there would be no theoretical access to the park, which I think if we're placing a park in there, I'd very much want to see that in phase 1 versus in phase 2. And I'll say specifically about Headwaters, not this developer, but we saw in Headwaters where things started and then they don't get finished as initially planned. And so if we're going to have parkland dedication, I very much want to see that on the first phase. A positive comment I have on the overall piece is I'm very glad to see that it does not have cul-de-sacs. I know that for public works, that is an expensive management and has all sorts of other issues with snow loading and those pieces. So I'm really pleased, and I hope that whatever changes are made between now and when the final product comes forward to the city, that we don't have cul-de-sacs, and personally I'd like to avoid them if possible. Are there other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Keen.
The 2 roads on the west side that are heading south, is this developer also developing that underneath there on the south side of that? So right now those roads just stop at where it says future development. They just end there. Is this developer also developing south of there down to Headwaters?
Yeah, Commissioner Keen, this is Paul Bruggeman. Yes, our plan is to go southward on that next 40. That would be our, I guess it would be called our 3rd and 4th phase, if this is our 1st and 2nd phase.
I just want to make sure that, if this is the same contractor, you do have some plan where those 2 roads are going to go. If it was a different contractor, who knows where those roads would end up. So you do have a plan then for that. Okay.
Yeah, and as Donovan mentioned, Commissioner Young asked, and the park asked, and Donovan asked for us to do some ghost platting on that parcel, and we'll prepare that when we come back to the Parks Commission. I believe it's December 13th.
Thank you. Are there other comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Bruggeman, is there anything specifically from us that you would like to have feedback on that we did not provide tonight?
I guess basically the lot sizes, like I said, I think this plan is going to change somewhat. And I guess as the developer, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I like the park to be more of a central location of our neighborhoods rather than tucked behind the homes. So my plan and what I would like to come back with is if we could can we bring that site plan back up, Donovan?
Certainly.
And one of the issues that came out last night in the Parks Commission is this area is 4.9 acres. It's almost 5 acres, which is more than the 10% net of what this development is. So what came up was the Parks Commission was short on funding. They weren't able to maintain all the parks that they had. They certainly didn't want to take on another park that was just land that wasn't developed. And they'd rather have a park that was completed as part of this neighborhood. So if you could just raise that up a little bit, if you look at where the radius is of all the commissioners are blocking it, but the radius there, maybe keep going down. Yeah. So if you look at the radius there of Headwaters Parkway, right where the arrow is, my proposal would be to put a park area in there that was complete, including the trails, the landscaping, the playground equipments, the park, the whatever, like, you know, that whatever would be agreed upon between the, you know, the city and us to put in there. And I think, again, unless I totally misunderstood the Parks Commission last night, they were certainly open to me coming back with the plan representing that and not having this little, in my word, a pocket park that is really, you know, benefit for all of the homes that back up to it, but it's really closed off to the rest of the community. Where if you have the park on the main artery, it's a great visual, it's open area, it's inviting and welcoming and aesthetically appealing to everybody.
How Mr. Brueggemann, if I might ask, how close to, so it's hard for us to comment as a commission on a concept plan, and I understand where you're going with the two southern parcels, the east and west that are labeled future residential there, but it's hard for us to comment on a theoretical parking connection there that's not visualized in any of our materials. So my question is how close to having those concepts drawn up are you?
Well, this just all, I mean, we have some, you know, real sketchy sketches and we need to clean them up, and we will be working on that. So that's something that we can prepare. It's you know, it's going to be more of the same, right? Of the lots laid out as they are, and they're going to, you know, fit the contours and work with the wetlands that we have. But again, our thought was to maybe, you know, 5 acres is, in my mind, is a big open area to not have as a regional park, and to put the playground equipment in there. I think it would be an amenity for all of Forest Lake plus this neighborhood.
And I'll call you in a second, Commissioner Young. And I agree with that. And I personally would be more accepting of a smaller park immediately adjacent to Headwaters, where it has that greater value and visibility to the community, than I would the more condensed piece in the neighborhood, if that would help. Another piece that I just wanted to comment on in your comments was in regards to the housing and the plots and that piece. Oftentimes I think in these concept plan reviews, we oftentimes give our feedback that's critical, and I try to add the positives too. And that is actually one positive. So I think the single family housing you're proposing here is very fitting of that area in that region in our future. Commissioner Young.
And Mr. Brueggemann, you did ask about the lot sizes, and when I began, I do want to make sure, since we don't yet know, y'all do, but we don't yet know where those wetlands are going to be actually there. I just don't want those lots to be, the depth of them to be set up so that we're going to be receiving a significant number of variance requests as folks want to extend a deck or a back patio or something that would encroach on the wetlands. So I think that when you do your next design that doesn't have the park in the middle of the area, you'll be able to work on that a little bit.
All right, Commissioner Young, I hear that loud and clear, and we certainly will address that, writing a note on it, or already have a note on it that we'll double check that and verify that.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Brueggemann, was there any other specific things that you were looking for from our commission tonight in comments?
I don't believe so. I mean, I appreciate the feedback. I'd like to, have us take another run at this. Like I said, we just met with the Parks Commission last night, and I think not that we're starting over, but I think we need to back up a little bit and look at the whole project and come back with a plan that's a little bit more conclusive of what we're proposing, even though we can't, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the next phases because we don't have the delineations done. We don't have all that in place, but it would be at least give you guys something to look at that gives you a concept that could possibly happen, a bigger overall picture. And
that is how we look at these as concepts. So oftentimes I think we just throw everything at you. So I hope you don't take that as uninviting. I think most of the commission here, if not all of us, if I'm reading them right, are pretty happy about this type of development going in there. So I look forward to those next steps and the later reviews that we'll have. Donovan, was there anything additional you were seeking from us on this?
No, I think you provided that informal feedback. I mean, I think it's been a robust discussion, and provide some good guidance to Mr. Brueggemann. And we are meeting with the project team later this week, actually tomorrow, for a pre-submittal meeting, and this will be good input for that meeting as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brueggemann. I look forward to your next plans coming forward to the city. And you're certainly welcome to stay on the rest of the meeting. Normally, a concept review, there isn't a motion formally from us. It's just feedback that we provide. So.
Yep, no, and I appreciate it. I mean, the more things that you tell us you don't like, I don't take it personal. I've been doing this a long time. It's good critical or good information so we can critique what we were doing. So
and hopefully it saves you a little money too, because it can be more expensive down the road to change things if we don't like something, right?
Absolutely. And we want a good neighborhood as well as you do. So again, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, we will move on to item number 8. This is Castlewood Golf Course Clubhouse Site Plan Review. It is a final decision by Planning Commission. We will have Donovan present the staff report. We can ask questions on the staff report. And in this instance, the applicant is the city. I did see the city administrator pop on. I assume that he's going to present anything additional from that perspective, and then we can move on to discussion and consideration. Donovan, did you want to get us kicked off here?
Certainly. Chair.
One more note. I apologize, Donovan. I just wanted this in the record. Sorry, I'm scrolling through my agenda on my other computer here real quick. And I did tell Donovan about this just prior to the meeting, but just for the record, if we're looking at the agenda on page 34, the staff memo does say St. Peter's Church Rectory CUP and PUD amendment application, but obviously all of the reports and the agenda item on this are in no relation to St. Peter's Church, and that was a copy over from a template used on our last meeting. So just wanted to note that in the record that was just a typo. Go ahead, Donovan. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, I'd like to present the site plan review for the Castlewood Golf Course. Just to make sure that, just to keep it, again, in the record, the location of Castlewood is on Highway 97, just south of Second Lake there. And this was, has townhouses on it, and I believe the townhouse developer dedicated this land as a public golf course. So it is public recreation in the single family zoning district, which is a permitted use. The site plan review that we have before us is simple. And this is somewhat similar to what we'll see with St. Peter's project. We'll see it on December 8th for review, Planning Commission. What we have is a structure approximately 3,800 square feet in size. Two representations of it. One has a sidewalk leading up to it on this former plat map showing the clubhouse lot. This is from some of the original development material. And then we have a plan that shows the water and sewer connections to the clubhouse footprint. This was a submittal for the Comfort Lake, Forest Lake Watershed District sediment erosion control permit that the city received for the project. The clubhouse itself is meant to replace basically a shed that's been the pro shop to serve the golf course for a number of years. The use of this represents the principal use for this public recreation. And there will be some refreshments served, the pro shop, meaning the things to support the golf use, and golf related equipment and accessories. And because of the simplicity of the project, we don't have sediment erosion control permits. We do have that simple utility connection. There was not a landscaping plan provided, and with this, the staff recommendation is to have landscaping on the rear and sides of the building that don't have any windows, in order to kind of screen the building in that regard. Also, within this single family zoning district for this type of use, the commercial design standards don't apply. And so, this type of structure, though it's nothing elaborate, the design standards don't apply for it. Essentially, this is a great improvement over what is there. Also, it'll have the ability to be an area where the golf carts can be stored, and provide a good amenity for the Castlewood golfers. With that, I'll happy to take any questions from the Planning Commission.
So commissioners, questions, and I can certainly get kicked off here too on the staff report. The purpose of the Planning Commission, so that I understand this, because I know that this went through at least, and I don't know that it went through approval, but it at least went through a review at Parks Board. The City Council has approved different pieces of this. So the Planning Commission's review here isn't to say whether or not the city should have spent 10% of the Federal CARES Act to fight the coronavirus on a golf course clubhouse, or it's not to say that the city should have robbed the sewer fund to pay for a clubhouse. It's really focused on building and what else, Donovan? What are we to review tonight?
In this case, to ensure there's no negative impacts on environmental resources nearby, no nearby wetlands, no impacts on neighboring properties? And then 2, does it represent, a decent aesthetic? And that's where I believe that the landscaping added to it will basically provide kind of soften the more or less just basic structure that's proposed.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, are there questions on the staff report? Commissioner Keen?
Donovan, did you say there's not going to be any windows in it?
No, let me, I think I was speaking and I actually wasn't sharing my
Okay,
screen.
that's fine. You're going to put windows in it. That's fine. I was just thinking a clubhouse without windows.
There's windows.
Doesn't
There's
make
windows
much
on 2 sides, and not
Okay.
not on the sides that face the golf course, because we don't want golf balls to go through the windows.
Correct. Okay. Where do they presently store the golf carts in the wintertime?
They're rented, leased, so we don't keep them over the winter.
So they pick them up, haul them back. Next spring they bring them back out. Okay.
Correct. Currently during the golf season, they're stored on the restaurant's property. And we'd like to separate our operations from the restaurant so we have clean lines of who's doing what and what's the authorities and things like that.
I wasn't sure if they stored them in that back room where they keep all the lawnmowers and all that stuff. So
no, they pick them up at the end of the season and take them back.
okay. Why don't they just build it over the current location of their clubhouse now?
Because believe it or not, that small clubhouse, which is probably smaller than where anybody's sitting right now, is on the restaurant property. It's not on the golf course property. And it's a very small shack that part of the need for a new building is so we can, even though we've got vaccines coming, is to social distance and separate people, because you can't. We have in that little shack an office, we have the pro shop, we have refreshments, and it's all, if you ever walked in there, you get more than 2 people in there and it's tight. So the thought is that we can have a bigger building to spread people out, also to have a better amenities, and also have bathrooms. Right now, golfers go to the porta potties, and nobody really likes that either. So.
Well, yeah. Well, my question was, why didn't they just build it on that same location? But you answered that with that's on the restaurant property. So
Correct.
That's probably, I've been out there 100 times or more, and yeah, that's a good location. I was just curious. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller, I saw your hand go up after him.
Just, I guess, a couple questions. Looking at the footprint, it looks like it's about a 3,900 square foot building you're looking at putting up. Is that about right?
Correct.
And I guess my question is, since it's a public golf course and we have a lot of people that go out there and use it, the building's not real attractive. I understand you're going to use part of it for housing, golf carts and what have you, but wouldn't it make more sense to build a little bit nicer building with a little bit more curb appeal, so to speak, and maybe we could actually have maybe the public could use it sometimes for small events or small gatherings or small meetings versus putting up a pole building in the middle of this beautiful golf course?
I would be happy if the council wants to give me the funds to do that. I mean, we've got enough heat.
It's up to them.
Gotten enough heat on just building the building, so.
Yeah. Well, I'd be in favor of a really nice building with a really nice
so am I,
place to eat in there, and a place that the public could use, and we could get some revenue for the city, for small events. Okay.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
Commissioner Young.
We would not accept this proposal from any builder or developer that would come to the city. I am disgusted and appalled. I can't believe, God darn it all, the city should be demonstrating to folks what we expect when a proposal comes to us. I tried to scale this off of my screen, and quite frankly, when I tried to scale it off the screen, I couldn't come up with the square footage. We don't know whether or not the lines that you've already installed are going to drain properly for your sewer. I don't know where the runoff from the roof is going to go. Yes, it is. It's butt ugly. All right. It just is. And the location where you're putting it is really highly visible in this community. But what really bothers me is what we have in front of us is nowhere near what we requested, even of a storage facility, much. Commissioner Miller, I'm watching you, and it's hard for me to keep a straight face. I expect better of my city, quite frankly. I expect my city to show folks what we are expecting of them, not to be. This is a completely inadequate proposal. It doesn't tell us where things are going to drain. I don't know how this is going to be situated on the property. Is your little loafing shed, because it is a pole building, and that's a loafing shed out the front, like any horse person would have. Is that loafing shed going to be pointed toward 97? Is it pointed toward the parking lot? Is it pointed toward the back end? In terms of those windows, my stalls have better windows, just in terms of aesthetics. Ditto with the doors. I know that Donovan has asked that there be some minimal landscaping. This is a golf course where we sort of expect people to, and this golf course is known for having good landscaping and the rock theme that has been carried out throughout the golf course. And I'm not even a freaking golfer. This is not what I expect of my city. There's one thing of saying we're trying to save some money. There's another of saying this is what we want the Planning Commission to evaluate for our job of evaluating an amenity for the city or a development in the city or even a storage facility in our city. This is completely inadequate. I'm very, very disappointed, Mr. Administrator, in what we're seeing tonight. Did I just blow out all the speakers? Because I can't hear anybody saying anything.
Eric, I can't hear him.
Oops, I'm sorry. I had called on Commissioner Batty.
Okay.
I had mute on I use a mute on my hand thing, so you don't even see it on the screen. My apologies.
Well, I'm not going to cover what Commissioner Young did here, but I was just looking at this from the standpoint of how the site is going to work, and it looks like all of the parking is on the restaurant site. I'm assuming there's obviously some kind of some sort of shared agreement with that, but I mean, there isn't even a line on this drawing here showing what how you're going to get to it. Where there's going to be paving or if there is any paving or, I mean, is there any plan for that sort of thing? I would ditto Commissioner Young's comments about the building itself. I just think we can do better than this. I really do. I mean, with very, very little effort, I think we can do better than this. And I'm not going to get into the setting the precedent, but if we approve this tonight with these documents, this is going to come back to bite us over and over and over again in the future. Mark my word.
I very much agree with the comments from Commissioner Young and those added from Commissioner Batty. And I do have a question on something here. So in the number of years I've been on this planning commission, we tend to get a lot of reports and information when proposals come forward to us. We tend to see them before they go to council, whereas this whole process seems just completely backwards. And that frustrates me quite a bit that, I mean, council's already approved doing things. I drove by it today, and it looks like the sewer line is in and you got grass planted on top of that. It looks like they're halfway through building the walking trail that would go over to it. And it looks like the pad is ready to be poured, or maybe it was already, or it was just graded. I was looking from a distance on 97. And so I'm not even sure why you're coming to us, or why you didn't come to us prior to starting all of this process. And one of the questions that I have is, every time we have a commercial development or any sort of facility like the public schools that we've had, we have a fire report. I don't see anywhere where we've had our fire chief look at this. And quite frankly, I would be surprised if he would pass it, because normally he wants access relatively close to the building for safety purposes. And even if he forgave that and said, okay, we can run a hose all the way down this walking trail, has the city then obtained additional rights on that right of way that they have, or they may have, or whatever it is, with the parking lot that is owned by Stella's that golfers use to have fire access? Because exactly where a fire truck would park in front of that trail, that is where cars are parked every time I go in and enjoy food at Stella's. There's always cars blocking that, and that would be your closest fire location. So I mean, Donovan, do we have anything from our fire chief? Has he even looked at this?
No, he hasn't looked at this. My conversations with him with these type of, constructions is, first of all, is it habitable? Is there a residence? Is it a habitable structure? And the same things you apply for as far as fire response. I just pulled up the water lines and looked for the nearest hydrant, and it's on the other side of the water hazards, among the townhouses. So those same concerns you say actually are what would make Stella's, a difficult place to fight a fire. And they do have pumper trucks. I mean, and it would pull up, and there are many places in the city where there aren't fire hydrants. And so I don't think, the fire, I did not, consult with Chief Newman, but I don't think that would have produced a different result.
But I mean, so if we compare it to Stella's immediately adjacent next door, I think fire hydrants are important, and that's an additional concern I wasn't thinking of, but I'm just talking about simple access. I mean, at least at Stella's, you could drive a fire truck right up to the south end of that entire complex, and I believe on the entire west end of that complex, and maybe even a little bit into the back by where that maintenance building is. You couldn't get a fire truck near this building, from what I can read on the relatively ill-prepared drawings that we've been provided tonight in comparison to what we're accustomed to. So I would be most concerned about access. I mean, there's plenty of properties in the city that don't have hydrants. I think the nearest one from my home is miles away. I suspect, looking around at commissioners, that's true with a couple of our homes. I recognize it every spring when I pay my homeowner's insurance. So hydrants aren't the primary concern. The primary concern is access. Can a fire truck even get there? And yeah, I understand that they could put a pumper truck in there and run hoses, but all of that is time wasted in that type of emergency. And I don't know how I could even approve a plan seeing all of those concerns and not even having a report from our fire chief. So that's where I'm at today. I mean, that's a simple thing, but I mean, Commissioner Young brought up important pieces with engineering. I looked at it and I think the sewer would drain properly there, but after she mentioned it, I'm not sure. And I would like those engineering reports before those things come forward as well. So other comments from commissioners? Questions? Commissioner Keen?
Well, I agree with a lot of that. And you know, all my years on the fire department until I retired was, you know, just like you said, yeah, we could bring in pumper trucks and put out big tanks and stuff and pump water over there, but big waste of time. Is the building sprinklered? You know, is it sprinkled at all? Or, you know, a lot of these things, the Commissioner Miller mentioned I mean, this thing does look just like a pole barn, a really poor pole barn. And I have seen a lot of pole barns in nice areas where they do a lot of fake windows, fake doors, you know, and it looks real because on the inside there's lights and it looks like windows and stuff. But this plan really has nothing. So I couldn't go along with this the way it's set up right now.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I think we're still actually on the staff report here, but we've kind of moved into discussion. So at any point, somebody could make a motion as well. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Young, you are on mute.
I thought that Mr. Brink had a comment, but Mr. Batty is absolutely correct. If we approve this tonight, anybody can come in to the city and said, hey, y'all did this. That's all I need to be approved for my business, my pole building, my storage facility. This is not acceptable at all. And we really should be an example of what we are expecting of developers and builders in our city, and not say, well, you know, we're the city, so we can slide under.
Commissioner Brink, apologies if you raised your hand. You're actually at the bottom of my screen tonight. I don't know why you ended up there. So if I didn't see your hand raised,
You
my
put me there,
apologies.
Eric. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just wanted to go on the record. I really echo what everything has been said tonight. It is very disappointing. And having golfed this golf course for over 30 years, to actually put a positive spin on this, I do like the location of it. Unfortunately, with the fire access and everything, it's so tough. But if it was a nice looking building, it actually is a good spot visually. It sits high on that hill. That used to be the old number one tee off, or it might be now. It's been a little while, but it's really one of the only locations you can actually put something like that. But the building it's just so awful. I don't know what to say about it. But like Commissioner Miller said, there are definitely ways to make that, to improve on it. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? We've covered most of the stuff, but you know, you could put some really beautiful windows across that backside that are looking out at those fairways, you know, facing kind of the northwest, and you could get some great view. I mean, it'd be a great place just to sit and, you know, have a sandwich or a beverage or something after your round or before your round, and just watch. I mean, you could do some really cool things with the building, but as a contractor and as a homeowner, I would be embarrassed to build that building.
Commissioner Young. Commissioner Young.
Mr. Chair, I move that we table this item. This is not ready for prime time.
There's been a motion to table. Commissioner Young, could you clarify your motion to state the length of table or the point at which you want it brought back?
I move that we table this item until we have an appropriate application from the city that would meet the standards of any other review by the Planning Commission, including how this building is going to sit on the property, what the various elevations are going to look like in relation to the golf course, and not the page out of the Menards catalog. I want to see where the runoff from the roof is going to go and make sure that it is going to be appropriately handled. I do expect at least a minimum of landscaping, and we have a fairly active Master Gardener association or Master Gardener group in Forest Lake, and 2 garden clubs that I'm sure would be willing to assist. I expect to have an engineer's report that will tell me that this site is appropriately drained and will meet the city's standards for water and sewer. I expect this to have the same level and appropriateness and information available for the consideration of the Planning Commission that we would expect of any other builder or developer in this city.
Thank you. I'll summarize that as Commissioner Young has moved to table to a point in time when the city can present additional information to the commission. Is there a second on that motion?
Adequate information.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. A motion to table is non-debatable. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Commissioner Batty, you're on mute.
Aye, sorry.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye, motion carries. The item is tabled. We are moving on to other business. There you are, Councilmember Gerard. I always call on you first. I just didn't see where you were on the screen.
I was live and listening to you guys. So let me find my notes here. At the last council meeting, your Encore Apartments sign was approved. The zoning text amendment for medical uses and the Smith property, the ones over by Menards, that zoning text amendment and the comp plan, they were also approved. All of them unanimously by the city council. And I'd be happy to take any and all questions.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Gerard. Are there questions from commissioners to our liaison? Don't see any, Paul. Thank you for that update. Karen, do you have any updates for us?
I do not have any. Thank you. Anybody have questions though? I'd be happy to answer.
Questions for Karen? I don't see any. Donovan, do you have anything for other business tonight?
Let's report we do have a planning commission meeting in December, on December 9th. And we do have an agenda including St. Peter's PUD amendment and CUP amendment. And that is the only meeting scheduled for December. Commissioner Young, you have a question?
Donovan, could you make sure that whatever the church submits is adequate for our review? Lessons learned. You said earlier that what we would receive from the church would be very similar to what we're seeing tonight.
What you'll review has much more detail than what we saw tonight.
Just making sure.
Commissioner Miller?
And Donovan, could you make sure you red tag the construction out on Castlewood Golf Course until they come back with more details?
I think they bear the evidence, so yeah.
All right, we did table that, so we probably shouldn't discuss Castlewood at this point unless someone is moving to pull it. Yep. We'll move around commissioners. Commissioner Keen, do you have any updates?
I've got nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller?
No, I have nothing.
Commissioner Brink?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Batty?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Young?
Nothing further.
And we'll move on to me. I do have one update. We are moving into that season where appointments for each of our commissions and boards start to expire in January. I know that my term on the Planning Commission is expiring at the end of January, I believe, and I don't ask who else it was, but I want to say there was 2 other commissioners that are on that list. So if you're on that list, you may want to reach out to the mayor and ask if you wish to be reappointed, or at least have that conversation. I have informed Mayor Bain, and I know I did have a couple conversations, but I wanted to be fully transparent and open to the public that I do not intend to seek reappointment in January. So my term will end at the end of January on the Planning Commission. I will make very, very clear it has nothing to do with any of you or staff. I just need some time for me. So that is my update. Unless anyone else has other business, we can move on to adjournment.
You can't go.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Keen. I truly do, but I need some time for me. And perhaps in a year, I will ask again if there's an opening at that time, but I want to be really just transparent and say that is my intent, so that those that wish to apply for our positions, they can go right on the city website and do that and start those conversations. I am happy to talk to any member of the public that is considering it and can tell you the work that's involved in it and the low pay that we get and those types of things.
Princely remuneration.
And I also wanted to be just very transparent, so that not that I should assume that you would have appointed me chair, again next year, but I wanted you to at least put those thoughts in your head, so that somebody didn't end up in the meeting getting appointed to a leadership position on the Planning Commission that wasn't expected. And I will note, I think that did happen the first time I was nominated as vice chair. I kind of looked over and said, how did that happen? So I just wanted it to be a little bit open and let you know that detail in other business. But I appreciate the kind words, Commissioner Keen. Is there any other business? Karen, you are on mute, by the way.
I was just going to comment on the list. So we will end up having 4 spaces to fill. We still have Michael Black's space to fill, and then it looks like Commissioner Keen and Commissioner Brink, your terms are up in January as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
All right, thank you, Karen. Is there any other business? We can move on to adjournment if anyone wishes to make that
Karen,
motion.
I did send you a note, but you answered it. Thank you.
Okay.
Was there any other business? All right, Commissioner Young, I saw your hand go up.
Move adjournment, please.
There's a motion from Commissioner Young and a second by Commissioner Brink for adjournment. That is a non-debatable motion. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote for us?
Commissioner Young.
Aye.
Commissioner Batty.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Commissioner Keen.
Aye.
Commissioner Brink.
Aye.
And Chair Langness.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you all. We're done at 8:37 p.m.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a nice holiday, everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe, everyone.
We can get a light show, Chair.
Yes, swing by my house if you want to see a light show. We're turning on 25,000 lights the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And you can social distance and listen to it from your car over your FM radio. But as soon as Karen shuts off the live tube, I can show anyone on here a 3D rendition of us.